right, we're going to wrap this thing up with the broker roundtable. Today, this quarter, we've decided to go all CBRE. So like usual, CB is going to monopolize a little bit and get us up here. We've also decided to go a little bit younger. So today is our up-and-comers, our young guns. First up is Jeff Casper. Jeff's a Tucson native and a graduate of the University of Arizona. He joined CBRE in 2012 and earned the Rookie of the Year award. He works in the office division and specializes in office and medical leasing and sales. Jeff?
So I'm going to talk about a couple of office market statistics very briefly, and then get into some more of the large transactions that have happened recently and some of the trends in the office market. Touching on the statistics real quick, you'll see 2013 and really stayed flat, around 20% vacancy. We have seen some drop in that, down closer to 16%. And it's really, there's large variations between submarkets within Tucson. So a lot of the activity we have seen in the foothills, for example, that market, North Central, has dropped down below 10% in terms of vacancy. We've seen the east side still struggle somewhat, with the exception of the area right around the Williams Center. Those numbers are higher, closer to 22, 23%. One of the other trends we've seen, downtown market, for a long time has been up closer to 30%. We've seen a lot of activity. I'll get into some of the large transactions at the end, show you some of the movement that's gone on downtown. A lot of that has been driven by Caterpillar. They've been a tremendous asset to Tucson downtown and driven other groups to follow them. So that market, like I said, has been up around 30%, has dropped down closer to the low 20s. Net absorption, again, you see a lot of trading places, unfortunately. These newer companies like Caterpillar, like Ernst & Young, which I'll mention in one of the large transactions recently, are really big for Tucson because it's not musical chairs, it's actually absorbing space. So those are the groups that we really look to. Kind of just a real quick summary of those statistics. I talked about some of those at the top there with vacancy, rental rates. Rental rates, although, and I'll get into this with trends, although absorption has started to uptick and vacancy has gone down somewhat, we've seen the rental rates stay relatively flat. That really gets into an interesting dynamic where the rental rates have stayed flat for second generation space. There's a need for new quality space, but the numbers, there's such a gap between the rents that are required for new construction versus the second generation space that gap has made it difficult for new construction to come up. Some of the large transactions, still for printed public release shown as undisclosed, but it's known through the market. Raytheon leased over 120,000 square feet at the former SunQuest building. That transaction just completed. So they continue to move off campus. A lot of their movement has been driven by the fact that on campus, their site down by the airport is largely occupied now by closed area programs. Some of their non-closed area stuff is now moving off-site. Real big hit for the entire Williams Center area, and quite honestly, the entire market to see that large building be absorbed. This was vacated by SunQuest when they went up to the building, obviously in the foothills that Larson Baker purchased up on Sunrise Boulevard. 5151 Bayview leased 39,000 square feet. That building has seen a ton of transactions in the last few months. Getting into a little bit of a trend, as I said, we're running out of space in terms of quality space. I actually had a tenant that was looking for the same space that got bumped, so by Bayview. So for a long time, we talked about vacancy and continued vacancy and long-term vacancy. We're now seeing actually multiple tenants at times competing for the same quality space. Caterpillar, we just completed a 27,000 square foot lease for growth for Caterpillar at 1 South Church. So they will be moving in next month. The tenant improvements are currently going on right now. This will be a shorter term deal as they develop their project across the freeway. So they maintain their occupancy in 97 East Congress. They grew an additional 27,000 square feet at 1 South Church, so continuing the demand downtown. Ernst & Young leased over 12,000 square feet at the Transamerica building. They took an entire floor there. They're currently on the 4th floor in a temporary space while their TI is being completed on 5, but they are already occupying that building. Dependable Home Healthcare, again, took over 12,000 square feet. And then 11,000 square foot expansion by Learning A to Z up at Cambric at River and Campbell, another really hot office location. Really a great story, Learning A to Z. Locally started company. They've grown to almost 50,000 square feet at Cambric now. They're now owned corporately out of Dallas. So I'll finish up with just the trends. So we've talked about some of these larger groups that are taking big blocks of spaces. One of the big problems we're running into now is just a dearth of space, quality space, and larger space. So when we talked about Bayview taking over that large space at 5151, the competition for those large blocks is really creating an interesting dynamic. When you've got larger groups coming into town saying, show me the 5 or 6 Class A options of 30,000 square feet, you have to stop them right away and say, we don't have 5 or 6 options of 30,000 square feet. And so we're running into an interesting thing that's going to be interesting to find out how it plays out. But again, the gap between second generation rents and what's required for first generation build-to-suits is still too high. So we're hoping that that starts to increase the pressure on rents for second generation space. We can get it closer to those new construction levels so that we can start to see new space come on the market. Because right now you'll notice if you continue at that light green bar is the net absorption, the dark green bar is construction's completed. That's an unsustainable trend in terms of we are absorbing space. We don't have any new space coming on the market. So I think that's going to be the one interesting trend over the next 18 months to 2 years to see how that plays out, to see if we can get new product on the market.